Normally I don't do videos on this type of subject and on this type of stuff, but in this case, I'm going to. Because Gilbert Arenas, former Washington Wizard, Agent Zero, that guy's come out and said something about Steph Curry. Now, he recently came out on Twitter and said, Steph is not a generational talent, unquote. Then he added, quote, you know what a generational, Victor Wembanyama is a generational person that is a generational talent. Generational means you can't mimic it. Can you mimic Magic Johnson? 6'9" point guard with the vision. No, you can't. Mimic Shaquille O'Neal's body. You can't mimic LeBron James. And then he also goes on to add, those players are generational. Physical traits are generational. Someone like Giannis is tweaking. Like Nikola Jokic is not a generational talent. He's a great basketball player. Curry is a great basketball player. Generational is something that once every 20, when it comes, you're like, damn. So that's according to Gilbert Arenas right there. Now, Gilbert Arenas, he's a former multi-time All-Star. And he's someone who, he was a name in the 2000s. But this claim right here, though, that's just ridiculous. Now, granted, Steph Curry isn't the physical presence of a Magic Johnson during his days. He's not Shaquille O'Neal built. And I kind of get where he's come from about Victor potentially being a generational talent with his rookie season. He was the one highlight for that Spurs team. However, when it comes to Steph Curry not being a generational talent, he don't know what he's talking about. Look, you think, Magic Johnson is a generational talent. True. Michael Jordan was a generational talent. Kobe Bryant, yes. Even LeBron James, yes. Shaq, yes. Guys like that were in their own way generational talents. But Steph Curry is too. Maybe he's playing in a different era where it's not as physical. But Steph Curry is. Because let's face it, he's had 10 All-Stars, 2 MVPs, 4 finals wins, and some people try to say, 2 of them were super teams, but let's face it. The Golden State Warriors has always been run through Steph Curry. They got that first chip in 2015 with it being Steph's team. And sure, Kevin Durant was really like the icing on top of the cake for that Warriors team. But that's a whole other story. And not to mention you saw in 2022, Steph won ring 4 that wasn't a super team. So out of the 4 rings he's got, you only got 2 super teams, 2 non-super teams where you won a chip. Because that first one was with the homegrown guys. And then the last one was the retooling after the super team. It's the common denominator. Steph Curry was always there. The team was run through him. And make no mistake, Kevin Durant joined Steph Curry's team. It was always run through Steph, even when KD was there and they were super team for those 3 seasons. It was Steph Curry's team before KD. It was his team afterward. And Steph Curry holds the record, remember, for most three-point shots made in NBA history. We're seeing an era now, we're in that era where the three-point shot is more important than ever. And you know who played a significant role in that? Steph Curry. So yeah, he is a generational talent. Multi-time MVP. He showed that even a short guy who isn't a physical specimen like a Magic Johnson, and he can still be the leading point guard and the best point guard in the NBA and be the face of a franchise and win multiple championships. Steph Curry did all that. Not only was he a great three-point shooter, he's the leader. You see, when Steph was at 100%, how much of a difference maker he is for that Warriors team. You saw that. And you see how important he was in this era in making the three-point shot the most important it's been in any era of the NBA. And Steph Curry is the leading force behind that. Years from now, when we talk about, the three-point era, who's the main name that's going to come to mind? It's going to be Steph Curry when you talk about the three-point era. Years from now, they'll be talking about him as the main face. So there's another argument right there that suggests that, yes, Steph Curry is a generational talent. He's one of those guys who was not only great at shooting, but was also a great all-around player. He wasn't as fine as being a physical player. Pretty much that's the only thing against Steph you can say he wasn't great at, being a physical player. Other than that, you can check off every other box. Defense, pass vision, court vision, basketball IQ, three-point shot. reliable for his team. All those boxes Steph Curry checks, even more than a lot of the other guys here. So when you think of three-point era, you think of Steph Curry first. So that right there alone, along with all the other accolades on top of it, validates that he is a generational talent. So Gilbert Arenas, I understand he leans more toward big physical specimen on the court, and everyone has their preferences. Some people prefer the big guys like the Hakeems, David Robinson, Shaqs, and those guys, or the Alonzo Mournings. Some people may prefer the smaller guys like the Iversons, the Steph Currys, those guys. Maybe some people prefer the bigger small forwards like LeBron or KD. Everyone's got their own preferences. Some people prefer the difficult shot makers like Kobe. Different preferences for different fans. I get that. I understand Arenas leads more toward guys like Webby and Shaq that were more of a physical player. I get that, and that's fine. He can have his preferences, but Gilbert Arenas should not let his biases and his preference for guys like Magic Johnson, Shaq, and LeBron stand in the way of his assessment of Steph Curry. To me, this is an example of Agent Zero letting his bias stand in the way with his assessment. Either that, or he's trying to get notoriety for his podcast because he knew that saying Steph wasn't a generational talent is an unpopular opinion. So there is that possibility as well. Now, I'm not going to sit here and speculate why he's doing it, but the point is, it's a false assessment. And even if you have your biases, even if you're not a big fan of the constant three-point shots, even if you're an old school guy, you prefer the more physical style of play, instead of having every game be 110 points or more, or nearly every game both teams score 110 or more, even if that's your preference, you can't deny that Steph's a generational talent. When you look at his accolades, just look at all of them, like I said, the MVPs, the finals wins, the All-Stars, the three-point shooting, the defense, the basketball IQ, all that together. He clearly is a generational talent. Because again, I'll reiterate, when you think of this era, you think of the three-point era, who's the main guy that's going to come to mind? The answer is pretty obvious. It is Stephen Curry. So I understand maybe you're not a fan of the three-point shot. Maybe you're more of a fan of the physical style play, and that's fine. You can have your preferences, but don't deny that Steph's a generational talent. That's all I'm going to say right there. So, poor assessment, poor take by Gilbert Arenas. But you guys can comment and let me know what you think of this subject right here. If there's anything you want to add to what I said, or if you have a different take your own, feel free to comment and let me know. But yeah, that's all I got on this one. So, if you're looking for more NFL, NBA related content, make sure to subscribe. Hit the like button to help push it out. And until next time, Nicky Stees, signing off.